Hello, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, and welcome to Yu-Gi-Oh! Business Casual. I'm your host, the RJB0. Today is the last day to make Banlist predictions because I believe Konami is going to be announcing the April 2014 Banlist tomorrow sometime. So today I am giving you guys the final piece of the April 2014 Banlist according to Logic Saga. Today I'm going to be talking about things that may or may not come back up the list from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, or 2 to 3. This list is more for fun than the other ones were because A, I don't have very much time for these predictions to be of any use to anybody, and B, because I want to include a few wishlist items just to discuss them. And so let's get down to it. Of course, first I have to go through the things that I forgot that you guys brought up in the previous videos. First, we have skill drain is a very, very popular thing for people to be talking about. Skill drain is one of those things where I have been predicting that it would be hit forever. And the reason is because every format, it looks like there is a deck from the previous format that will be good as long as skill drain is in the game. And Konami is going to try and sell a deck that sucks with skill drain in the game. And so it looks like Konami's going to hit skill drain, and then they never do. So while I think it would be a smart move to hit skill drain, just based on previous patterns, it does not look like it's going to happen. I also think it would be nice to have skill drain gone, but there's also just the fact that artifacts can operate under skill drain and do just fine, so they're not going to have an issue with it, especially since skill drain kills a lot of rogue decks, and that's something that Konami would probably like to have happen. And if Upstart and Reckless did get hit, then Dark Worlds wouldn't be nearly as much of a problem for them. So I think skill drain, while it is kind of a good choice to get hit, just the previous behavior of Konami says that it is unlikely to happen. Then there's Hysteric Party, which is a great point, and I'm amazed that I didn't think about it in my first video, because this does meet the biggest criteria for getting hit, which is that it creates an expanded play. Hysteric Party is just wild when it comes to expanded plays. You can use it to discard a Hysteric sign and get searches during the end phase in order to put monsters on the board. And many, many monsters on the board, depending on how many monsters you have in the graveyard. The one issue that it has is that it has the discard cost and it is weak to MST. The one reason why that may not be an issue is because they have a lot of cards already in the Harpy deck that players are going to want to MST. So while there's the fact that it is weak to things like MST and Dust Tornado, there's also the fact that it brings back a dixzillion monsters from your graveyard, can create Harpy's Pet Phantasmal Dragon to end games, can create Lightning Chidori, just tons of nutsy stuff that this card can do. I could see it going to 1, although I do not think it's going to get banned. And there's just kind of the element of Konami not really caring about Harpies that much, since Boojins aren't really going to be hurt by them terribly, and then artifacts are just like, sure, destroy my back row, see what happens. So, I don't know, it kind of goes 50-50 for me. So I'm just going to move on to the other stuff that I want to talk about. As you can see, I have some things are in black and some things are in lavender. The black things are things I want to legitimately discuss, and the lavender things are just kind of wish list stuff that I want to talk about. So first we've got Dark Strike Fighter. People are talking about Dark Strike Fighter coming back a lot. I can see it coming back to 3 because it isn't going to do a whole lot, but I also think that Konami is going to do this incrementally, like they do with most of the stuff this banned that they bring back. So if Dark Strike Fighter gets its errata, it's probably going to come back to 1. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. A lot of people are talking about Stratos coming back to 1. On the one hand, Konami is going to be selling that structure deck with heroes in it, which would make sense for them to bring back Stratos, and that would be nice because I have the Ultra and it's pretty. But at the same time, Stratos was also very recently hit, so Konami is not a company which likes to admit its mistakes, and Stratos is kind of a mistake for them. I can see it coming back to 1. I don't think it's extremely likely, especially since we don't have a TCG release date for that structure deck yet, as far as I know. But once that gets announced, then I will be slightly more inclined to believe that Konami will bring it back. Zen Mighty is one of my wishlist cards. I am a big fan of windups, and since we don't have Shockmaster anymore, you might as well give us back a Zen Mighty. Yes, we can OTK, but at this point, what deck can't? So it's a really freaking good card, but it is no better than something like, oh, I don't know, well, for one, Wind Up Magician, which is limited right now. It's no better a card than like Tefnuit or Atum or any of those cards that special summon from the deck. And since the deck no longer has its big Shock Lock turn 1 combos, and since the combos it has are easily blocked by Effect Veiler and Maxi, I really don't see why Zen Mighty is still on the ban list, especially since the meta has changed a ton since 2012. So, I think Zen Mighty could come back, but it's really just a wish list item at this point. I see no motivation for Konami to bring it back. Limited, we start off with another wish list item, Formula Synchron. Bring the card back. It's not doing anything. It's not going to do anything in the next format. It's not going to do anything in the format after that, unless, of course, you bring Librarian back to 2, which I would love infinitely as a Junk Doppel player. But I think that Formula Synchron does little enough as a card at 1 that it would be nice to have another one back, especially since us plant Synchro players and since Sylvans can utilize the card fairly effectively. It would be nice to see it back to 2. Also, Glow Up Bulb is banned, so it's less of a thing. Magician of Faith is... Oh, that was weird. Magician of Faith is currently at 1, and it has yet to do anything. So, true to form, I think that Konami is going to bring it to 2, and then finally to 3. They did that with Spirit Reaper, they did that with Tsukiyomi, they just kind of do that with banned cards in general that don't really do anything. So I can see that happening. Another wish list item, Grand Mole. I freaking love this card. I love Grand Mole, and I think that it is a good enough card that I can't see it going back to 3, but it's also an uninfluential enough card at 1 that it can really merit coming back, and the only reason why it's just a wish list item right now instead of an actual discussion item is because it is kind of a Yamato killer. It doesn't kill the Yamato, but it does put it back in the hand to instigate OTKs for decks that can do so. So I can't really see Grand Mole coming back, but it would kind of be nice to have it. Then there's 1 for 1. Why is this card still limited? I mean, Sylvans are going to be a thing, so it isn't like it isn't going to do anything, but at the same time, the only thing it's going to do is help Konami in terms of profits. Because if Sylvans get a little boost, then they're going to have great stuff out of Boojins, Artifacts, and Sylvans, and of course Ghost Tricks. So I can see it coming back to 2. It hasn't been doing anything at 1. It'd probably see some play at 2, but it probably wouldn't break the game, and it would also help Sylvans to a degree. So I can see 1 for 1 coming back to 2. I only have 1 wish list item on my semi list, but I do have a few serious discussion items. We have Chaos Sorcerer. Yes, Piper Chaos is a thing. Yes, it has been used and abused with Chaos Sorcerer in the past. But how long has it been since you guys saw a Piper deck top? It's been a while. So I don't think that Chaos Sorcerer is really that much of a problem at 2 right now. I can see it coming to 3. I don't think Konami has any motivation to keep it at 2. There is, of course, the possibility that they come out with more Chaos-like stuff, and the current Chaos-like stuff that we have right now is not really doing a whole lot, so I can see it coming back to 3. That is one of my less serious items, but we will move on to Card Trooper, Tragodia, and Lonefire. Of these 3, I think Lonefire is the most likely. Lonefire has done jack this format, and it can only help Sylvans, which is good for Konami. So since they are doing the thing where they bring it back incrementally, I think it is fairly likely that Lone Fire comes back to 3. I'm not too happy about that because the card is ridiculous, but I can see it happening, and if that happened, I would like to see Tengu come back to 3. I love Tengu, and since Glow Up Bulb is gone, Brionica is gone, Trishula is gone, Birdman is limited, Tengu really doesn't have the same kind of teeth for the game that it used to. And since most of the broken cards that we have these days are Xyz monsters and not Synchro monsters, Tengu doesn't have that much of an influence on the format. There is also the fact that Konami is bringing back a lot of new Synchro cards, which would sell much better if you could put them on the board for free, which you can do with Tengu. I really like Tengu, and I like the idea of having a Crane Tengu plant deck become a thing. I know that that's just kind of that's a little far out there, but I really enjoy Tengu. I know that it broke the game the last time it was in the game, but I think since, once again, Glow Up, Trishula, and Brionica are all no longer things, then we shouldn't have an issue with it. So that's just kind of what I'm looking at. As far as stuff that may come back, one of the really popular things is Bestiari. It hasn't happened. They have had all the reasons to bring it back, and they still haven't brought it back. And now the deck is actually seeing tops, and so I feel like there's a little bit of risk in bringing back Bestiari. And if they're bringing in Augusto, it's probably not going to be a high dollar card whether or not they bring back Bestiari, because it's likely to be a super or a common or even a rare, so it isn't going to help their profits very much. So I just don't see a whole lot of motivation to bring it back. I'm sure there are other things on the list. Once again, let me know down in the comments, and this time I will be even more sure to discuss, seeing as I will not have another video. Meanwhile, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you didn't, let me know why in the comments section below. And of course, subscribe for more deck discussion, analysis, and general Yu-Gi-Oh! Shenanigans. Meanwhile, I'm your host, the RJB0. Thank you for watching Yu-Gi-Oh! and Business Casual, and I got a jet.